Welcome back, everybody. That's a live look at the Dome right now as warm-ups are getting ready for day 2 of the state wrestling tournament. That's such a cool shot. You can see all 8 mats. It'll be busy again today. Wrestlebacks going here at the top of the hour with the individual championships coming up at 4:30. You'll see it live right here on WDAY Extra. I'm super pumped to have our next guest on. I've known him forever and can't be more excited about later today. They're up at the Dome. The Hall of Fame induction ceremony will be held as he'll be honored as one of the class members of the 2025 North Dakota Wrestling Hall of Fame. Longtime coach Keenan Spiess joins us this morning as we get ready for day 2 at the state tournament. I know you're going to hate talking about yourself. I'm going to force you to do it. But first, state wrestling tournament, is that a combination of like Christmas, New Year's? What is it? What is it for a guy like you? What is these 3 days like?
It never gets old. It never gets old. States tournaments, national tournaments. It never, adrenaline just pumps through me. It gives me life. You know, it just keeps me thinking young at least, and I love it. Never gets old.
I'm going to test your memory. What do you remember about your first trip as a competitor to the North Dakota State Wrestling Tournament?
Oh man, that was a long time ago. You know, we used to have separate A and B weren't always together. I remember that. Obviously, there was no female side to it back then. You know, there were cheerleaders. It was just different. You know, it was different. But this is great in the Dome here. We have all these competitors, all these spectators, participants. It's an awesome sight.
Were you nervous for your first trip there?
Oh, it's always good to be a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, and gives you a little bit of fire, right?
Just see, you mentioned that, to see where it was when you were a competitor to where it is now. I mean, in your wildest dreams, you thought that the sport would elevate itself?
Yeah, I mean, especially like we were talking earlier with the female aspect now, just growing our sport, and it's a good thing. It broadens our fan base. It broadens our knowledge, people that are knowledgeable of the sport, and to get it on TV more often, because to be on TV, you need the people to watch it, a lot of people. So, and it's awesome.
It's on TV all the time, man, which is the best part about it. I got to ask you, so you find out, give me your reaction when you got the phone call about this award that you're going to go into the North Dakota Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah, just totally humbled. You know, great company through the years of people that have been at wrestling, such a good sport that you feel like family. But today I'm going, there's 2 of us in the Class A, and Scott Glauser is the other one from Bismarck. And the only thing I asked was I go before Scott Glauser, because if they read his bio before mine, it's not going to be good.
Come on now, don't do that. The best part about it, we're showing video. I got you in a suit and tie when you were coaching it. And when's the last time you wore a suit and tie?
Yeah, today I guess is going to be the next day. You know, and I got a daughter getting married next year, and I could probably name him on one hand. Yep.
Tell me about the difference on coaching high school and coaching collegiately. You've done both. What are the advantages, disadvantages? Tell me about that.
You know, they both have their good sides and their challenges. Obviously, in the college part, you know, a lot of the key is recruiting, getting that talent into the room, and then obviously developing them when you get there. But it's a lot easier to recruit when you're teaching in a high school and you just tell the kids that there's a meeting at 4:00 and they show up and go from there. You know, it's different that way. High school, you know, you kind of working with the parents more, and in college you're not as much. You're a little more independent there. So each one has its challenges. Each one has its great moments as well. So, yeah. You
were the guy. I remember you and Bart Manson both getting hired almost maybe the same time at Davies, and you were the first coach there. Tell me about the challenges of starting a program from scratch and what those early days were like at Davies.
Yeah, so I remember. So after Moorhead State, I had 1 year where I coached middle school, and I just kind of took a break and I tried to get away from wrestling lasted about 2 months. It just pulls me back in like a disease. But so I did middle school that year, and then Davies started their school, and before Davies was built, in April the year before, it was April of 2011, I think it would be. I got hired, and I had a meeting at Fargo South because Davies wasn't done
Yeah.
yet, and 8 kids showed up to the meeting, and but that next year, that very next year at Davies, we never forfeited a weight. We ended up getting 25 to 30 kids out.
Wow.
And we just built it from there. Yep.
I can still sense the pride in your voice about that. What was that first year like, taking your lumps like you did?
Yeah, we expected Cole Marion was on that team, and we said everybody go get 2 or 3 friends. We're going to fill this team. We pulled Hunter Swenson out of Fayette, and he was a finalist off of 1 year of wrestling, and then he won state his senior year. And we qualified for duels that very first year. We beat like the rival South at that time, because that's where the kids came from, and just tried to instill that pride right away, and the kids bought in.
You mentioned just those first couple state champions at Davies. How proud are you of those ones, and especially those early challenges of those guys being the first to bring home state titles of any kind to Davies?
Yeah, like I mentioned, Cole Marion, he was a junior when Davies started, and to me, he's the one that kicked it in gear right away. Yeah. He was a 2-time state champion, and he was just a great leader. It's going to be so good to see those guys tomorrow night at our celebration, and should bring back some great memories.
Now, after last year, you stepped down as head coach. Tell me the decision on, because you're still assistant coaching now. What was the thought process on that?
Yeah, so I got a few years to teach it before I should retire. But so Joe Trottier, he's the head coach now. He was my assistant for 8 years, and I always asked him, are you interested in being head coach? He's absolutely, and he worked really hard, and he was eager, and he was hungry, and he just really wanted it. And I was all right. Let's do this, and I'm happy as long as the program was in good hands and going the right way, which it is. I was happy to do it. 29 years of was good.
You think about that. That's a long time, man. I mean, just what would you tell yourself 29 years ago about getting what you know now? What would you tell yourself as a rookie head coach about what it's like, what you're getting yourself into?
Oh, I could have given a lot of advice, just to kind of keep things in perspective, not to get too overreactive or emotional in certain situations. Everything will work itself out. Yeah. But I wouldn't trade any. There was some great moments, at Fargo North years ago before I was at Morehead State. Yeah. The Grizzly Wrestling Club, some awesome wrestlers that went through that. There was 1 year at that Grizzly Wrestling Club. If we'd have been our own state, we'd have finished 9th in the nation.
Wow.
And that was some pretty good wrestling back then.
Man.
Zach Thumb, Jamie Garvey, Dusty Swanson. Yeah.
I got to ask, I know how humble you are, but when you're going to hear your name on the PA today, what's going to go through your mind when you get introduced and walk out?
Just to be in that company and the family all being there, and it's going to be pretty special. I don't know. I guess just very, very happy and very proud.
This day is always my favorite, personally, the individual final day, because of the emotion that goes into it. You've been part of that. When a guy comes over to grab you, hug you after, just tell that's unique, Keenan, to wrestling. It doesn't happen in any other sport where it's one-on-one like that. What is that like as a coach, either to console somebody who lost or to celebrate somebody who won?
Yeah, and people forget about only one person each weight class wins that title. In cross country and golf, it's even less. It's one for the whole field. But in wrestling, you put all that sweat and dedication and mornings and evenings and injuries and skin diseases and everything, and the mental aspect and the cutting weight, and then when they come out and they can put it all together to win, it's there's nothing like it.
Is there one either person that won or one that came up short that stands out? Like, boy, that's a memory you're going to have as a coach forever. Is there one that when I ask you that stands right out?
Yeah, a couple of really good ones. Like I said, that Hunter Swenson when he came out as a sophomore, and then was JV one year, and then by the senior year, he caught, it was Brandon Mess, but Brandon Mess was a freshman. So, so he won the state title, against that year.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool for him to come off of, basically 2 years of wrestling to do that. And, Andre Baguma, when he won that, title that one year, basically the same thing, a couple of years of wrestling and just hard work in the, the weight room and everything. Tough one like last night for us was, Malachi Wermeyer, getting beat in the semis. And, he's got his head on, though. He's going to come back and try to get third and have a lot of pride.
So how good if Truman decided if he wanted to go do wrestling rather than football, how good a wrestler could he have been? I know how good he was in high school, collegiately, how good he could have been.
He could have been really good because he's so disciplined, so smart competitor. He's a competitor, but he's smart. And the thing with Truman, I always said, if he knew how to throw a guy, how dangerous he would have been. Because he never really knew the upper body stuff, but if he had that dimension, oh my gosh. But he could have learned that, through, more. But he chose football. He's doing great. And we have a lot of 2-3 sport athletes in our program. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. I think it's good to help more than one program.
Is there a weight class for you that you always focus on? Like, okay, this is the quote unquote the best athletes. I'll get you in trouble here. The best athletes wrestle at which weight class in your mind?
Yeah, that's arguable. Right now we got one that's a ridiculous athlete, Wyatt Kozadowski. He's a junior. He's won state. He's been to the finals 3 years in a row. Placed as a 7th grader. But baseball, he could hopefully football this next year. We'll see. He's Nate Baker from Morehead State was an incredible athlete, national champ. But Wyatt's he's right up there with as far as athleticism. Man. And so he's 172. So right now I'm going to say that.
Before I let you go, how many mats are you like bing bonging back forth to here today? How busy you're going to be running around?
We have 3 mats for Class A, 8 total down here, but 3 for Class A. So we have a good amount of coaches, so we kind of spread ourselves out and zoom in on a kid or 2 each. So it works pretty well. And it should be a fun day wrestling.
I know it's a big day for you. I really appreciate you giving us a few minutes because wrestling's getting going here. I can't wait to see you in person. Thanks so much for the time. Congratulations, bud. You earned it. And thanks for doing this morning.
All right. Thanks, Dom. Have a great day.
Keenan Spiess, now the member of the North Dakota Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's going in later today. The first coach in Davies wrestling history. Of course, he coached at MSUM, coached at North, a dynamite wrestler in his own right. And we appreciate him giving us a few minutes here today. I remember vividly those, as we were talking with Mason Claybo earlier this week about Davies, and Bart Manson and I have talked about this on the show, that and the late, great Jason Thielges as well. That first group of coaches at Davies, that the building wasn't even open yet, and you could hear Keenan talking about that as well, of how they got to go and recruit guys to come out for Antona Safransky had the same thing as the head coach of the girls basketball team. They had to go and basically into the South's classrooms to see if, hey, you want to come represent Davies? I don't know if people remember that now. It was 15 years ago when they opened. And those early years, man, there was some rough times, but a lot of rewarding things came out of that. Keenan mentioned that his first couple of state champions that happened within the first 2 years of them being a varsity program. Great stuff there, and looking forward to that coming up later on this afternoon. We'll break, come back, wrap up our first hour. There's some big baseball news to chat about as well, television related. Want to hit on that? Brad Schlossman coming up in our second hour as well. Back on Hot Mic on this Friday morning right after this.